All right. So I'll be talking about the graph. The graph is one of the most important dev tooling and infrastructure in Web3, and we'll be going around how to query an existing subgraph for your data needs and how to create a subgraph. Okay. So let's do it really quickly. I'll always want you guys to have your mobile and camera out because I have a lot of QRs to show you guys. So this is the first QR that you need to scan if you are hacking on the graph. Here we have all the information as well as the repository is important for the graph work. We have a lot of amazing bounties. So yeah, I hope that motivates you guys. So first of all, what is the graph? The basic problem while we were creating the graph, what we understood is that blockchains are amazing. They're immutable databases, but they are really hard to query. It's impossible to get the data from the blockchain to the front end without just ramping up the RPC, just banging the RPC and getting the data, and it's very expensive. Hence, the front ends are always struggling with data. It's very tough for front ends to get information. Just imagine you want the CryptoPunk of 2021. The RPC will have to traverse through 3 years, find out which CryptoPunk are you looking for, find out in that block and give you the data that's required. That's actually implementable. It's like you made a query today and you'll get the results in 3 days. Hence, it's not amazing. That's why we created something like the graph. The graph is a middleware between your blockchain and your front end to get the data. Basically, you can consider the graph as getting the data for you guys, storing it in a middleware layer, of course, in the decentralized manner, and then you can query the data as per what you need and how you need, right? The reason why we wanted to create the network, a protocol, a decentralized network for that, is because there are sometimes centralized indexers which you can use, of course, to get the data. But then, why are you using a blockchain, right? Blockchain is for storing data in a decentralized fashion. And hence, no middleware should be allowed to manipulate the data. Hence, you need something like the graph, which is decentralized, which is by the graph network, to make sure the sanctity of the data remains intact and your front end gets the most important data in the real-time, fastest way possible. Okay, now let's understand what is subgraphs. Subgraphs are basically you telling our infrastructure, the graph node, to index whatever data you need. Let's say you are a CryptoPunks holder, right? And you want to index all the people who are CryptoPunks holder. So you will be basically telling graph node that, hey guy, this is my smart contract. This is the data that I'm looking for. Can you please give this to me? And that is basically a smart contract program. Subgraphs are basically a program written in TypeScript to basically tell everyone that this is the data that's required. Can you get this for me? So you can consider subgraphs as the programming language or the programming standard that you create, tell the graph node this is the data I need, and just get it for you guys. You can see a live footage of how a subgraph basically works, right? You can consider all these balls as Uniswap data, UMA protocol data, Aave data, all the sorts of data mixed in one particular blockchain. And you can consider these wooden things as a subgraph. They diversify everything and get you what you need directly so that you can query it. So what is a part of the subgraph? What is basically inside the subgraph, right? So in a subgraph, there are basically 3 files. The first file is the YAML file. This is basically the introduction of your subgraph. In a YAML file, you mention the smart contract address, the start block, and the handlers which will be handling the data. The logic file is the mapping file in which you get the data from the events, right? And you convert the data with the mapping file. So basically you can consider the schema file is the file which you have to use for your own data needs. So basically, let's say you are, again, we go back to the CryptoPunks example, and you're looking for the top 10 sales. So I will be creating a schema, which is the sales, right? So sales, ID of the sales, the timestamp in which that sales was done, the amount of ETH that was required to buy that CryptoPunk, that will be a part of a schema, right? So I will first of all create that schema, right? And I will be getting the data via events of the sales contract in the CryptoPunk smart contract. So in the mapping file, what I'll be doing is basically writing the logic to make sure that that sales, that is an event, that gets converted to the schema here, okay? So these are all the three files. The YAML file will be pre-constructed when we do graph init. I'll show you in some time. The schema file is the data that you're looking forward from that particular smart contract. And the mapping file is basically you can consider it as the logic to convert the event data from the smart contract in the schema. I hope if that is clear. Let's first of all query subgraphs. It's not always required to create your own subgraph if you need your own data. If you are creating a smart contract and writing your own DApp from start, then you need to create your subgraph. If you are querying an existing DApp for your data needs, then you can just query the existing subgraph. Let's say you want to get Uniswap data to understand the different prices of Uniswap USDT ETH pair on different chains. Uniswap is deployed on 5 to 6 chains. You want to have that data. How do you get that data? There are existing Uniswap subgraphs on all these chains. You can query these smart contracts and get the data for yourself. You don't have to basically create a new smart contract, right? And for that, the most important part, for querying an existing subgraph for your dashboards in this particular hackathon, we have two prizes. First prize and second prize, $3,750, which is the first prize, and then $1,250 if you become a runners-up, right? So how do you query a subgraph? Let's look at this. This is the legendary Graph Explorer, which also has UNCX, Alex? Yeah, okay, cool. And how do you get your data? First of all, you look at the protocol that you're looking for, right? And let's say I want to query Bitsworld. I'll just query it like this. Let's just see that. Let's say I want to have UNCX data, for example. How do I get that? I just, go to UNCX, search whatever I'm looking for. I get it here, and I can just query it right here, okay? So let's say I'm looking for Aave data. I just go to subgraphs again. I search Aave, get the best subgraphs from Aave. Misari subgraphs are the best subgraphs that have been created. You can just go to query, get this query, and get things going. Here you can see there is something called as the API, right? This API you will have to extract from the Subgraph Studio. I'll go to the studio, and I will be able to create my own API. It's pretty standard. There is no mental math or crazy amount of work that needs to be required to do that. So it's pretty simple. Just first of all, set up your API key. Once you have identified the protocol that you are looking to query the data from, get that particular subgraph from the Explorer, go to the Subgraph Studio, get the API key, access the data, and win $3,750. Simple, right? Are we good with time? Okay, I think we're good. The second thing, this is how you query the data. Let's do an example to query CryptoPunks data. I want to have the top 10 sales, the first 10 CryptoPunks that were ever sold. Let's try to find that out. So here, I go to subgraphs. I here come on CryptoPunks. Let's do this one. The first 10 sales, right? Remember? So here, I go to the first 10 sales that were done of CryptoPunks. There is a sales entity here. You see it? Sales of first 10. Let's close this. Bot accounts. Let's just look at the top 10 sales of CryptoPunks. Top 10. So here it gives you all of them, but let's say we just need order by, let's see the amount of, the amount in which they were sold. Amount, it gives us all the CryptoPunks that were sold in ascending order, right? This is the amount of CryptoPunks being sold, like what value these CryptoPunks were being sold at. The cheapest one to the most expensive one. And I can actually rectify this on the Explorer. I go to Explorer, Etherscan, put this ID from here. You see this? This is the NFT that was bought, which is a CryptoPunk. Given that this is not very visible and other few transactions were also done in this is a wrapped CryptoPunk. Somebody did some degen stuff with this. So maybe we query another CryptoPunk. See, this is the CryptoPunk that we are getting and talking about. Swapped in $69,000. So yeah, this is all you can query. So if you're looking to create a CryptoPunk dashboard, all you need is this particular subgraph and this particular API, and you will be able to create the best CryptoPunk information dashboards. This is all about querying subgraphs. Now let's move to creating a subgraph, right? If you are creating your own DApp, if you're deploying your own smart contract, you definitely need to create your own subgraph. Again, two prices, $3,750 and $1,250. The architecture of how a DApp looks like when you create a subgraph of your own is something like this. First of all, you have the blockchain, which can be Ethereum or any layer 2 that the graph is deployed on. We are on 39 chains. Secondly, you will have the smart contract that you are writing. And to get the data from the smart contract to the front end, there is a middleware called as the subgraphs that you will be building. Okay? So let's build a subgraph very, very quickly. So I will be deploying a dummy ERC20 smart contract very quickly. This is a smart contract, right? ERC20 mintable, mergeable, right? Let's just deploy it. Okay, I have some Sepolia ETH. That should be fine, hopefully. Let's deploy. Estimated gas will fail. Ooh. Demo gods are not with me today. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do it on Arbitrum mainnet. I'll be spending my own money for this. Okay, thank you guys. Let's deploy. Oh, again. Reject. Okay, maybe we create a new one, new contract. Let's just go to this. Let's create a create new template, make it ERC20, mintable possible. Yes. Okay. My token, like you can see over here, I created that. My token, it has all the things that are required. Let's deploy this on Arbitrum very, very quickly. Compile, it compiles. Now let's deploy. For that, I need to disconnect MetaMask and connect again, just because Web3 UX. Connect account, connect, confirm. See, I deployed. Now I need to add the address and deploy the smart contract on Arbitrum. Oh, wait, I need to inject MetaMask. Hopefully, now it works. Disconnect, connect again. Okay, works hopefully. Now let's deploy the contract on Arbitrum mainnet. See, I deployed the smart contract first of all on Arbitrum. You can see this is the smart contract that's been deployed, and I should be able to view it as well. Let's see. Let's go to the smart contract that's been deployed. RB scan. Search. So I deployed a smart contract. This is the smart contract that you can see that's been deployed. Okay, now we are going to index this particular smart contract. For that, what I need to do is go to my Explorer and basically cd desktop, oh no, downloads, graph, demo, mkdir, sg. Here I'll do, first of all, what you need to do is have the graph library installed, right? Like you can see, I've already installed the graph library, but it's really easy to install graph library in your local place with npm. Once you've installed graph library, I'll do graph init on Ethereum, subgraph studio, and name it ERC20 new, and I will be on Arbitrum 1. This is the smart contract address is this one. This is the smart contract address. I give it the smart contract address. It's not able to fetch the ABI, so I'll have to get the ABI from. Normally, it fetches the ABI if you have verified the smart contract. But if it doesn't, for some reason, because EtherScan APIs are down, I can get those ABIs for you guys. So basically, get the ABI and store it somewhere. So I create a new ABI folder. Code. Oh shit. Let's use a new terminal. Okay. CD desktop. CD mkdir. New ABI. CD new ABI. Code. I store the ABI in this ABI.json. Store this here. Copy the file of the ABI. Copy path, and put it to our terminal, which is this one. I can just be like, no. Okay, this is the path. See. It got the smart contract that needs to be created, and we'll have the smart contract created in just 1 second, right? So basically, I put in the smart contract address and the start block, and it will create the subgraph for me. That's how the graph tooling is. Really amazing. Now let's deploy the subgraph on the subgraph studio. This is the subgraph studio. Let me just connect my MetaMask, create the subgraph, name it ERC20 new, create the subgraph. See, I created the subgraph. I already did the global graph protocol installation, right? I already did graph init. Now I need to do graph auth. So let's do graph auth. Okay, CD. I get into the subgraph. I do graph auth. Now I need to do code gen to make sure all the code is being compiled. And now I will just show you how the subgraph looks. You see this? This is the subgraph. I showed you it will have 3 important files. First is the schema file. Second is the YAML file. And the third is the logic file, which is the mapping file. Here you can see. So the schema, the YAML file has the smart contract address and the start block, as well as our events of the ERC20 smart contract. Then there is this schema file, because we want to get approve information of our ERC20 approvals, ownership transfers, possible mintable transfer, all these information we need. So we created the schema for that. And the third thing is, of course, the mapping file. This is the mapping file, which has converted the event data into our schema data. These are the 3 things that are required. Once this is done, now I will deploy my smart contract on the, I'll just deploy my smart contract on the Explorer. Which one was it? Yeah, this one. I'll just deploy the smart contract, subgraph I mean, and it should work. So I have deployed my smart contract, right? I have now deployed my subgraph, and it will give me an API, which is this particular API, which I can use to query my front end. Okay, all these 3 things are done. Now you can happily create your decentralized application, and of course, win $3,750. Right? My subgraph is created. Now I can play with it. As you can see right now, it has. Let's see if I approval. Let's go to approval. Right now, the approval has nothing. Now, if I make a particular transaction, with approval here. Let's do an approval. Let's do an approval. Wait. Approval. This is the address that I'm looking to approve. Approval. And the value is, let's say, 100. And to the transaction. Max approval. So this data needs to be indexed by a subgraph as well because we have triggered an event, right? So when I see this, this is the smart contract that I deployed. It should have the data, see? So basically you can have a smart contract deployed, a subgraph deployed, and query it with your front end. If that's clear, that's all about it. You guys can definitely subscribe to the newsletter. And thank you so much. If you have more questions, we are on the booth. We have a lot of good swag and a lot of good bounties. Thank you.